Don't make these 5 mistakes if you want to own a landed in your 40s. So just to give you a context of what I'm going to share today, I'm going to go through these 5 mistakes. First, waiting till you have enough to upgrade. So what I see with a lot of clients is that they always try their best to save up enough and then then I will get my landed. But the thing about it is that by the time you save enough, a lot of times the landed price has gone up. You need more down payment, then you save more again. And this continues on. So in certain cases, I've seen clients go through this 5, 10, 15 years and then they eventually still do not end up with a landed. So after this, I'll deep dive a bit into the figures. You'll get a better idea as to what kind of figures you should be expecting. Second, no strategy, no plan as to how to get to your landed. This is one of the biggest issues because in today's terms, a landed property is not exactly something that a lot of us can immediately buy after our first property. Sometimes it takes 1 swap, 2 swaps, maybe multiple swaps. The thing about it is that without a proper plan, you might not even get a landed in your entire lifetime. So number 3, start planning late. If the later you start to plan, the higher your installments are, the more difficult it is to buy a landed property. Later we'll look at the figures to see whether it makes sense. Number 4, when you do not have a buffer. This is a huge mistake. So a lot of times, what do you need to buffer for? First, interest rates. Interest rates we've seen over the past few years, it has gone up, it has gone down, up, down again. And the thing about it is that when it goes up, your installments can go up by quite a bit. So you need to take into account, I need to have a buffer for when interest rates go up, something that's unpredictable. Another thing that's actually unpredictable, your rainy day planning. What does this involve? Maybe a change of jobs for yourself, maybe some retrenchment happening in the families, maybe some family emergencies. You need this sum of cash. A lot of times when I see buyers purchasing their first landed, a lot of their cash is actually out. They don't really have so much savings, they don't have that much of a buffer. So this can be actually quite risky for buyers. Other unexpected costs. Costs of repairs. So if you're staying in a HDB, your size may be 90 square meters, 100 plus square meters. Typically, your cost of repairs are not going to be that high, even if your entire floor spoils. However, for a landed property, when you're talking about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet, in the event your roof spoils, in the event the floor cracks, in the event the pipes spoil and you have to replace them, your cost is a lot higher than HDB or even a condo. So you have to take this into account. My rule of thumb, minimally, typically, if you're going to buy a landed property, what you at least need to keep as a buffer will be about 250,000 upwards. Why? Because you have to go and take into account what happens if something spoils in the house and you have to pay for this. And last but not least, not knowing what you are getting into exactly. One of the things of a landed property is that if you're going to spend money on renovation, you have to be very ready that the renovation is going to take a lot of money. Firstly, because of the size of the house. Second, it's going to take a lot of time. So one of the mistakes that one of my clients actually had, or not one, a few of my clients actually had over the last few years after buying their first landed, is that yes, they can afford the renovation. The problem comes in is because they are both husband and wife are actually working, but in terms of renovation, they have to approve so many things. So you take, for example, maybe a BTO or HDB or condo, especially a new condo. A lot of times, the light switches are there, the aircon positioning is there, when you go in the toilet, the floor traps are there. But when you're doing your own renovation for your own landed, you have to decide how high are the wall plugs? How high will your kitchen countertop be? How high will your sinks be? Every single floor trap in the house, you have to go and decide where is it going to be? What kind of design are you going to pick? So there's a lot more time commitment, especially in terms of your renovation, that you have to take into account. So these are real renovation issues that our clients have actually shared with us over the past few years. The other thing about landed properties, you need to really take into account the maintenance costs. If you have a swimming pool, what's the maintenance cost? If you have a lift, What's the maintenance cost? If you have a garden in your house, what's the maintenance cost of all these? Because these costs actually add up. And it's not like, hey, someone's going to plan for you. Oh, like if you stay in a condo, your maintenance cost every month or every quarter, you're just paying your maintenance. Here, you need to go and arrange with your different gardeners, the different pool people. Essentially, it's a lot more tedious and time consuming. So these are things that you really need to take into account if you want to enter the landed scene. Are you or someone you know looking to buy a landed today? Leave a comment or leave any questions that you have in the comments below. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some figures. So this is my filter for the landed properties in Singapore. So I actually filtered terrace houses that are 999 or freehold, size about 1,500 to about 2,000 square feet. Okay? So first off, what we're going to look at in 2016, the per square foot for all these kind of landed houses was about 1,405 per square foot. 4 years later, in 2020, it actually went up to 1,661 per square foot. It went up 18%. And another 4 years, 2024, it went up to 2,290 per square foot. From the last 8 years, it actually increased 62%, a whopping 62%. That is a lot. So what we want to actually take note is that if, let's say in 2016, you were to purchase a property at 1,800 square feet, your per square foot was what we saw just now, your quantum, the price of the lender will cost about 2.529 mil. Your down payments, including your legal fees, would be about $731,300. 4 years later, 2020, same thing, 1,008 square feet, your per square foot went up, your quantum went up, your down payment now is at 869,600. 4 years later, 2024, 1,008 square feet, 2,290 per square foot, quantum goes up. Your down payment now, $1,220,420. You realize your down payment actually has increased so much over 4 years and over 8 years. What you really want to go and take note is that a lot of times as buyers, even for myself, I think about it, I want to buy a landed property. I want to save enough so I can get my dream landed. But the thing about it is that when I save enough, my dream landed price will have increased by quite a bit. When my dream landed price increases, my down payment increases quite a bit. And I keep chasing, and I chase, and I chase, and I chase. A lot of times what happens, we see clients that don't actually own a landed, even though that was their dream, that was their plan 5-10 years ago. Because they keep chasing it and they keep getting outpriced by the landed. So number one, how do we get around this? Very, very straightforward. Typically, calculate what's your maximum budget. So for example, if your maximum budget is, let's say 2.5, or in today's terms, let's say your maximum budget is 4.12, but your dream home is maybe 5 mil. Get something within your budget first. Get your foot into the landed scene first. After that, when your landed appreciates, you can always upgrade your landed to a bigger landed in the future. So we've seen this many, many times. My clients just get maybe an entry-level kind of terrace first. After 5, 6, 7 years, they upgrade to their semi-D. And then from there, if they still want to upgrade to a bigger house, they can still do that. You realize your property is actually helping you make money along the way and helping you achieve your next property along the way. So for our second point, no strategy and no planning. Some of our clients can go straight to a landed. Some of our clients from a HDB, they go straight to a landed. However, these cases are relatively rare. In more common cases, what we actually see is actually our clients going from a HDB, they go to a condo, and when the condo makes money, they go to a landed. That's how they achieve their landed. But in certain cases, what we're also starting to see more in the market, our clients starting from maybe a HDB to a condo, to a bigger condo, and they swap it out 2-3 times, and then eventually they end up with their landed property. So you realize sometimes it doesn't mean that from one HDB immediately you go to the landed property. Sometimes it takes 1, 2 swaps. Sometimes it takes 1, 2, and 3 swaps. In these kind of swaps, as long as your properties make more money, you save more money along the way, and you have CPF accumulation along the way, you will be able to afford your landed property. So on to our third point, start planning late. So here's where we actually look at some figures to actually realize, if we're actually going to buy later on in our life, how will our installments affect us? So first off, let's assume that we're going to buy a 4 million property. Let's assume that the buyer ourselves is 35 years old. What happens is that when we actually put this, and we're taking a 75% loan, a maximum loan, our monthly installment, $12,648. So for a 30-year loan at 35 years old, buying installment 12648. Next, if we buy the same property 4 mil, now we are 40 years old instead, our installment goes up to $14,226. Now if our age goes up to 45, our installment goes up to $16,638. Now, if we are 50 years old, our installment goes up to $20,717. So what you realize is that the older you get, your tenure of your loan drops. And when your tenure of your loan drops, your monthly installment goes up by quite a bit. And if the monthly installment goes up by too high, first, buyers, you won't feel comfortable coming up so much cash or so much top up for your monthly installments. Second, because at that age, you might have other commitments as well. Kids, maybe your kids going to school, to university, overseas studying. At that time, you might not want to come out so much per month for your house. So all these things you have to take into account. Basically, the easiest way to plan is the younger you are, the easier it is to afford a monthly installment for a landed. Simply put. So I hope you learned something through this video, especially if you're looking to buy your first landed property. Do like this video and subscribe to us if you want to see more of similar content. See you!